Ladies and gentlemen, how's it going? Welcome back to Data Dispatch. Today we're going to be talking about Palantir Technologies because everybody's concerned. The price action has fallen in the last trading session, down about 8.4%, settling at about 14.15 at the last market close. The question that many people are asking is how low will Palantir go? Now, of course, nobody has that true answer, but what we can do is analyze some support levels. We unfortunately did lose that $15 support level that has been consolidating ever since earnings were released, and we saw about that 25% correction. Is this something specific with Palantir Technologies in itself, or is this just a cool down in the whole AI industry, as we've seen some of these AI stocks have large price valuations and increases subject to high volatility since the beginning of the year? Now, if you're new to the channel, this is Data Dispatch. Hit that like button for the algorithm and subscribe for daily videos. Of course, I'm not a financial advisor, so take everything I say with a grain of salt and do your own research before making an investment decision. Now, everybody should know that. Now, talking about where we are with Palantir Technologies right now in the last trading session, lost this $15 support level. We're going to be looking at some of the previous levels of support and also looking at some good articles about a red flag and a green flag for PLTR right now. Now, PLTR right here settles down about the $14. Now, the question is for this trading session, will PLTR be able to stabilize support there, or will it come back down into more of the lower support levels? Market cap right now is at 30 billion, and what we had at the last trading volume was at about 91 million. Now, if we zoom out and really get a big time history of Palantir Technologies, where do we sit in 2022? That was basically at right here through 2022 at about that $7. You can see throughout the whole year, a large foundation of support level was built right basically between this $7 and kind of had some resistance here up at that $10. Will these previous resistance points at about $10 to $11 become new support levels as they could be tested if the correction does continue? And speaking about that here, kind of in the beginning of 2022, we did have actually a little bit of support that was formed at about that $10. Now, the question is, will those be retested, especially since Palantir's at $14 and did have a large sell-off? Or will this kind of swing back up after we did have this big price dip here and start to stabilize back at the 15s? Now, that's only going to come with time, but it's a great question to answer, and especially how much is actually changing within the business of Palantir, because the question does get raised there. Is this more in a buy the dip type of situation? Now, if we go to, I think Motley Fool does a great job explaining a green and a red flag for Palantir Technology. And let's start with the green flag. And that is basically is that Palantir does have some big opportunities in artificial intelligence. We've seen this with the revenue metrics that have been growing year over year, and also their client base has been growing. Just their Palantir's customer base that actually rose 38% year over year and 8% on a sequential quarterly basis in quarter two. And even though they were in line with their last quarter earnings that we've seen that's caused kind of this correction, the business behind it has continued to bring in some great revenues and maintain that profitability. And they also announced that $1 billion buyback program of their common stock. Now, one thing is getting involved in the AI industry and how is AI going to take off. Now, there's a lot of speculation behind that, and especially with Palantir, what's great to see is they do have those government contracts, which do help build a reputation, and even more than 100 businesses are already using their artificial intelligence program, and even the CEO, Alex Karp, had talked about that his company is in talks with more than 300 other enterprises that are potentially interested in adopting this platform. And specifically looking at that, we've seen great metrics on growth year over year, up 17%. We've seen profitability margins, growth profits, 79%, and momentum in the last 3 months. Even though we've seen this correction here coming down to about that $14, Palantir is still up 63%. Especially if people are getting a little anxious or scared about what's happening with the price action, sometimes it's just important to zoom out, look at the bigger picture, and what is the ultimate goal of Palantir, not just in the short term, but what is their long-term business goal. Now, let's talk about what the important thing is, and that is the red flag. Now, the red flag is that they have a very high valuation, and right now are trading at a very high premium. For example, their revenue, even though it has grown, Palantir right now is valued at approximately 68 times this year's expected earnings and 15 times their expected sales. Now, while Palantir, they actually raised its full year sales guidance to revenue of about $2.2 billion, the valuation of the stock is still very high. And basically talking about right now with a little bit of a correction and with their valuation, is this too high of a premium for what Palantir is actually doing business-wise and what's going on with the fundamentals? Now, what we have seen, especially with those quarter two earnings, is a little bit of correction right off of the back. So talking about that, while Palantir is still answering questions to its fundamental business practices, like bringing in more revenue, adding more customers, we do have investors that are putting a high valuation on it by paying a large price for their stock, taking a bullish position on the future. However, if there's too much speculation there for you, basically depends on artificial intelligence, how much adoption we're going to see this into our society, things could sway the other way really quick. It's important to remember that not all things always go up, they can also come down. So depending, of course, on your risk tolerance, if you're more risk adverse and want to play it more on the safe side, Palantir could still be very speculative in the fact that it is taking a big bet on the AI industry, which we have seen as a cool off, and some people are even saying that is in a bubble. However, if you like to be a little more risky, get into some more of the speculative stocks and take a bet on the future, Palantir is still there as a potential option for investors looking to do that, as they are putting a lot of resources into artificial intelligence. They're growing as a company, and from their financials, we are seeing great metrics, especially year over year. And with Palantir coming down here to about that 14.15, many things haven't really changed in the previous just few days here in the beginning of August, and it's down over 25% from this $20 high that we've seen in the recent highs from the last swing. So lots of questions to ask yourself there, and lots of important things to, of course, answer for yourself. And of course, that's only going to happen in doing your own research and also making sure you do your own risk assessment. I can't stress that enough, that making your own decisions is very important, and not basically putting all your eggs in one basket or getting too ahead of yourself, and of course, falling subject to FOMO, fear of missing out, which can be very dangerous. So use a smart noggin out there. Make sure, of course, take care, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.